large majority of housing might be underground. These are years of intense paranoia as Antarctic melting raises its ugly head. People feel safer underground, and boring is kind of a fad. There would be 4 large refugee camps north of Canada, Siberia, the Australian outback, and the Sahara Desert. Whether or not these would prove popular or not remains to be seen. But room is there for those who seek refuge. On the proposed Vital Highway to French Polynesia, there would be a 5th camp on a seastead in the ocean. In a sunny tropical environment, this installation would house thousands of people on the Pacific. With cheap solar power and plentiful seawater, this is an especially attractive option. While these new VTOL planes have a short range, the seafarers plan to create stepping stones across the ocean, stepping stone rafts across the ocean that the planes can land at and recharge. These VTOL craft will be 100% electric. They use a combination of quadcopter, tilt rotor, and tilt wings, capable of flying hundreds of kilometers on a single charge. Advanced battery technology will allow rapid recharging at each of the stepping stone platforms, which will each have their own solar energy plant to charge from. Ultimately, the need for fossil fuel energy in airline flights for those needing to go from continent to continent may eventually be eliminated as well. As a single flight from LA to New York puts out 2 to 3 tons of carbon per person, or about 10% of the average yearly carbon output of someone in a developed country. Flying green is essential. One thing we haven't considered is, what about Africa? Well, there are discussions of at design meetings, and the big debate is one highway or two, and the two-strand approach seems to have won out. One corridor would head up the Nile in Egypt and continue down the east coast through Kenya, Tanzania, etc. Another would go through the west, perhaps through the deserts in Algeria, and perhaps with a tunnel under the jungle in the Congo. Both of the roads would end at a camp in the Kalahari Desert in Botswana. On all continents there would be connector highways added by countries. Hopefully, Africa would be the same, since it's an international corridor. There would be no need of customs to get in. Everyone would be encouraged to drive or walk in. There would, of course, be the issue of getting political buy-in from each of the countries. A big incentive would be that a percentage of the power from these superficial molten salt plants would be produced in excess of what would be required for any particular section of highway. These countries would get a bunch of free electricity out of the deal, as well as access to the agriculture, nanotech, and other technologies involved in the corridor. In exchange, they would have to essentially relinquish this mile-wide stretch of their country as a free zone or special administrative region, which they would, of course, be able to do business with and interact with, but they would also have to allow it to be autonomous and could not invade, take over, or otherwise interfere with sections of it.